to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we unlocking the statements.
Streaming every Friday.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Clovercrest Media presents Keys to the City, the first edition of Keys to the City, 2021 edition of Keys to the City. Everybody, rejoice. We have made it past 2020, ladies and gentlemen. But there's also, I know people are happy about that, but football fans, I'm going to break your hearts. There's only 1 month left of football. I'm sorry. I know we're happy for maybe 5 seconds, but there's only 1 month left of football. Plain and simple. Here we go. It's playoff time. There's a lot going on in the NFL. It is Black Monday. Coaches getting fired. As we've already seen, the Jacksonville Jaguars get rid of Doug Marrone. The Los Angeles Chargers get rid of Anthony Lynn. Gase is gone finally, Adam Gase. The Texans are looking for a new coach. Is Urban Meyer coming to the NFL? A lot happening. This offseason is going to be chaos, madness, straight up. I can't wait. And we'll talk about Tua at the end of the show. We'll talk about who's the most dangerous team in the AFC with the Chiefs. Is it the Bills or is it the Ravens? The two hottest teams right now. We'll talk about that. But let's start off with last night's game. We were going to start off with the Giants because we are Giant fans. But last night something happened. Something happened that we've as football fans have never actually seen. No, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching right now, this is not a Giant fan complaining. These are not Giant fans complaining. The New York Giants, let's get this thing clear. The New York Giants had their opportunities. So for Giant fans that are complaining, bitching and moaning that the Philadelphia Eagles didn't get us into the playoffs, first of all, Ted, you can come in and finish that statement that you want to say. How many games do you play in the NFL?
16.
16 games. How many of the games did the Giants win of those 16?
6.
6 games. So we're going to blame a team, the Philadelphia Eagles, for not getting the Giants in the playoffs. The Giants had their opportunities. They were 5-7. They controlled their own destiny. And guess what? They squandered all of that. So for anybody that's going to be, Giant fans complaining, I'm not one of them. The Giants had their opportunity, and I think all three of us can agree on that, plain and simple. But last night, that was the first time I've ever seen – this way? You want to go this way?
Yeah, go that way.
This way? You want me out of the screen?
All right, so you get the –
I got you. But this was the first time that I can actually say I saw a team tank last night. There's no reason for it. Doug Pederson, his excuse was, we wanted Nate to play. He's been here for 4 years. We want to see him play. What the hell does that mean? This is even more controversy for a team that's already dealing with a chaotic organization. You got a backup quarterback that's going to get traded. You have a quarterback that you thought, in Carson Wentz, you have a quarterback that maybe you think is your franchise quarterback.
He wasn't even dressed last night.
That's
what baffled me the most last night was the $100 million man wasn't even dressed. There was no injury. So what does that tell you as an Eagles fan? That everything in your organization is turned upside down from top to bottom. The Eagles need a whole change right now. And I told Trevor last night.
And how fast they've faltered.
I think
about that.
This is a really deep and internal situation. They have a lot of guys that are older, closer to 30. What they have, over 12 guys last night, over 30 years old. Mm-hmm. They say last night, I saw a picture last night, Zach Ertz was the last player on the field, sitting by himself in the thing. Would this be the Zach Ertz's last home game? All the guys that were out for the Eagles last night, everything that's happened with the Eagles has been tumultuous this year. And it's very unfortunate because this is a team not too long ago that you're like, all right, as a Philadelphia Eagles
Super Bowl champs.
Super Bowl champs. They're going in the right direction. You got Miles Sanders. You had some young pieces. They screwed up. They haven't drafted a young, good receiver to put around Carson Wentz. You know, they got Dallas Goedert, but he hasn't really panned out. And you thought the double tight ends with Ertz and Goedert was going to work out. Miles Sanders has been a nice piece, but hasn't been healthy. But just getting back into the game last night. So you look at the game last night. Everyone, and I think Darren Orlowski put a good point this year. All 4 teams in the NFC East, as bad as they were as teams, they all fought to the end, all the way through and through. The Dallas Giant game was a playoff game, Joe. You said it right before. It was as close to a playoff game as you can get one without actually being an official playoff game. And then last night, the Eagles, I'm watching the game last night, and I go, wow, this team is really playing hard. You don't have nothing to play for, but they're still playing hard. I'm like, they go for it, not once, but twice on 4th down. Mm-hmm. They go for it on 4th and goal. I'm like, why wouldn't you just take the points, kick the field goal, tie the game? Your defense is playing really well right now. Alex Smith can't throw the ball more than 5 yards down the field.
It was their type of game that they could easily win if you had Jalen Hurts. What we're trying to say, if Jalen Hurts is in, maybe those results are different, and we're talking about a whole different thing. But you're
not trying to win the game when you're the best player on your team.
But
who scored you the 2 touchdowns is sitting on the bench. If you watch the little meme that goes, he shakes his head and goes, I don't know what's going on.
Joe, even players I saw on Twitter, Giants players, league officials around were just baffled, appalled. As the word I saw a lot was the word disgrace of what the Eagles did last night.
Chris Mortensen's tweet was the best one, and it had nothing to do with the Giants-Eagles game. It just had to do with the respect of the game, because players like Deshaun Watson, who have nothing to play for, playing all the way through the end.
I feel bad.
And the Texans.
We got to get Joe into this.
Joe's
on mute right now. It's 6 minutes. Joe's not in. We got to get Joseph. You saw the game last night. You saw how people have reacted since. What was your whole take on it? And as a Giant fan, I'm not getting ticked off. I'm not mad about the whole Giant situation. They had their opportunities, but you saw something like that. And what do you have to say for yourself as a football fan?
Well, look, here's what I said to you guys earlier, and I think this still stands. I agree. The Giants could have taken care of business when they had the chance. And, go back to, week 8 against Philly, where an Evan Ingram drop cost the Giants a win. And that game, you could argue, is really the difference maker. Blaming the Eagles for not beating Washington, as I said to you guys before the show, was like blaming Steve Bartman for the 2003 Cubs not winning the World Series. It was Game 6. It was the 8th inning.
Who was the shortstop that botched? Alex Gonzalez, who was a Gold Glove shortstop, botched the double play. And then things just started.
Let's blame Steve Bartman. Let's blame that. Again, look, to me, it's 6-10. It's not ideal for the Giants. We'll get into that. But as far as what the Eagles did, I don't care. I don't have a problem with it. I expected it. When Suffield ran out of the field, I thought, these sons, they get you everything. It's the Eagles. And I think for the Eagles, I think as much of the motivation was to get a better draft pick, I think sticking it to the Giants will always feel good for the Eagles. Why would
you, as a coach, why would that even be a consideration? Because think about this. Every football player knows you play to win the game. The Herm Edwards quote of the century, you play to win the game. Why would you do that? Because I sent you guys the press conference after where he goes, we weren't tanking. We had Brandon Graham and Zach Ertz playing. All right. What does that have to do with anything?
Right.
I'm telling you that your quarterback, after 4 years, deserves to get reps. It's like, hey, in the state championship game, we're down by 3, but we're going to put our backup quarterback. I know you had nothing to play for except for a draft pick, but why would you? What does that say?
Well, that's the thing. Look, I don't want to make this political or anything, but we live in a country where nobody's going to admit when they get called out on their BS. You don't have to anymore, and so you just lie, and that's what he did. Answer the question, were you trying to win? Well, Zach Ertz had a helmet. What? Yes or no? Were you trying to win? Yes or no? It's a yes or no question. Well, Jalen Hurts played the first 3 quarters. Those are not yet. This is a simple yes or no, and he chose to give you the answer.
When you keep avoiding the questions, just ask Jose Altuve. You know you're a liar.
Listen, if you wanted Sudfeld to get the rep, he should have started the game on the first snap, not in the fourth quarter. That's what makes it even worse. Just start him in the beginning of the game, just so you know going into it. That is what it is.
They wanted the 7th overall. Here's my biggest thing. First of all,
let me tell you. Hold on. If you don't think that Philadelphia, don't be ignorant. They hate the Giants. I have a few Eagles fans, friends that are Eagles fans. I don't know why we're friends. My thought is that they're friends with me because they want to rub it in my face every chance they get.
There's a reason why the Giants fans
if
don't
you
like
think that organization isn't motivated to watch the Giants, especially after the tweets the Giants had put out before the game, come on.
Here's my thing about this whole game and the way that how he handled this. What kind of message does it send to the franchise too? Like, this was a team, like we said a couple years ago, just won a Super Bowl, their first ever Super Bowl, and we thought that the Eagles were going to be there for a while. Now, all of a sudden, we're talking about them being a chaotic dumpster fire. Like, what kind of message is that? Yeah, Carson Wentz wants out.
So how about this?
Hold on. You're probably going to get rid of Zach Ertz is probably not going to be coming back. Jason Kelsey, who's been one of your best players for like the last 10 years, it feels like. And he came out a couple weeks ago and talked about playing to win the game. J.J. Watt came out the previous week on a 4-11 team too. That, guess what? They don't even have a first 2-round picks, and they still are playing their asses off. They almost beat the Titans yesterday. So don't give me this reason of, we weren't tanking, we were playing to win. BS, Doug Pederson. Come out and be a man and be honest with yourself.
But you can't say that. You can't say that.
No, BS. Because now you look like even more of a clown. And I told you at the beginning, this is not an angry Giant fan. The Giants had their chances. This is a football fan ticked off at seeing an embarrassment on the 256th game of the year in a year that we maybe never thought NFL football would finish out. And that's how they finished the 2021 season, regular season, by tanking, literally tanking. So don't give me this BS about we tried to play to win when you want to put in a guy that we've never even seen, with the exception of injuries, playing on the field. It's a bad message to the team, bad message to the players. It's a bad message to the franchise. And the Eagles, good. I hope they suffer. And that's the Giant in me. That's the Giant fan in me, because I hate the Eagles. I don't care if they lost. I don't care. I just wish the way they handled it all. And just for God's sakes, be honest with yourself.
It's a bad look for the NFL.
It is a bad look for the league.
And because here's the thing, that was the game you sent to primetime. That was the game that you were like, all right, we got Jalen Hurts, Alex Smith come back. You got the comeback story, divisional game, a lot going to be on the line. No one expected you to be here January 3rd. And, I mean, let's face it, we saw it on Red Zone earlier. You might as well put the Lions-Vikings game on, because that game was entertaining all the way through and through.
The most entertaining game of the weekend.
I mean, that's the game you put on. And think about it. Once that kid came in, Joe, you knew the game was over. You knew the game was over. And you watched the game, there was a lot of crazy things that I saw within the Eagles game plan. I was like, didn't understand it. This is the kid, Jalen Hurts, that you told you're going to start over your $100 million man in Carson Wentz, and then you're going to bench him in the fourth quarter. This is the time where you find out what this kid is made of. These are the reps, the fourth quarter reps, when you're down by 3, to find out, is he going to be the guy next year? What are you going to do with Carson Wentz? Is Carson Wentz going to be the guy? Not Nate Sudfeld, bro. He hadn't played since 2018.
It's a terrible message. Before we get to the Giants, I do want to say one thing. I mean, we got to congratulate the Washington football team. Alex Smith, unbelievable story. Alex Smith, Ron Rivera,
right, two guys get killed.
Who cares? The way Alex Smith was the quarterback and finished the season to a guy we thought he maybe never was going to make another. Who knows? We almost thought at one point Alex Smith was going to die at one point in that whole start. And then Ron Rivera, great job. I mean, you got to give where credit is due. They are the NFC East champs.
Joe, the Giants would have gave Tampa Saturday night game.
It is what it is.
In New York, a much better game.
We say that now, but the Giants. We say it now.
No, I don't say it now. I say it now, yesterday and before. I said it to you yesterday. The Giants would have gave Tampa a run for their money Saturday night, because there would have been an aura at Giant Stadium. It would have been 8:15, cold game. Tampa doesn't want to play. Devin White's out.
Eli would have came out of retirement.
Mike Evans just suffered a knee injury. That's about Bruce Arians, who didn't need to play a guy who had nothing to play for, gets hurt. It would have set up for a good Giant game, and that defense could have matched up against Tampa Bay. Maybe the offense was not playing well enough, but I think the Giants would have given the
all in all,
Tampa
last
Bay
night's
a better
actions
matchup.
From Doug Pederson was a slap in the face to the NFL and the slap in the face to the Eagles franchise, too, to the players that maybe were playing their last game as a Philadelphia Eagle.
You're going to see major changes, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles try to move on from Doug Pederson, because maybe this is Carson Wentz saying, hey, you pick me or him. So –
look, I don't think. Ask most Eagles fans. They don't love Pederson. Never did. He's kind of bush league. He's not like. He's a McAdoo. He's one of those guys. I mean, he's not going to be like.
He's a numbers guy. Put downs. Go for it.
Explains a lot.
And then the guy that went for a tie, Joe. This is a guy that played for a tie instead of a winner.
Funny. They thought the tie was going to help them in the long run. Now it actually hurts them. In the loss column,
they got a better pick.
Good. It's already starting. The demise of the Philadelphia Eagles is already starting.
Doug Pederson is to me what Dan Mullins is at Florida. I just feel like a solid franchise, a solid program with a guy who's too bush league to be the head of. Dan Mullins being ahead of that program and Pederson being the coach of this team, I find offensive as someone that doesn't like either team, but respects the program. Okay. And just to build off your point before we move on, Trevor, as you said, all these people going out there, the last game of a miracle season, think about all the COVID tests that had to be spent and wasted so that Doug Pederson could pull that horse crap last night at the end of the game. Think about all the people that had to sacrifice and all the things they had to go through for you to put that effort. That tells me all I need to know about Doug Pederson. And I think the Eagles franchise, and while they certainly appreciate that better draft pick, I think in the long run, I think they know who their guy is there. And I think that's bad news for him.
Enjoy it. So let's move over to the New York Football Giants, and let's finally get into that because we are Giant fans. And look, I know they're not in the playoffs. They're not. No, I don't want to. No, we'll talk about Tua. Finish off with Tua because that's actually going to be one of the most interesting debates in this entire offseason is if the Dolphins are going to stick with Tua. We'll talk about that though. The New York Giants. Yes, they are not in the playoffs, but anytime you can beat the Dallas Cowboys, there's nothing better. It's just, as a Giant fan, there's nothing better than beating the Dallas Cowboys.
We hadn't beaten them in
like 7 straight games. It was 7 straight games, and everybody was on Dallas. So to see the Giants finish off a season that, well, we thought that who knows what the New York Giants were going to be. New head coach, new offensive system. Was Daniel Jones going to be the answer?
That's what my record was, though. 6-10. I had the Giants.
I think we both had 6, and I think we all had 6 and 10.
Joe, what you had about 7-9, 8-8, right, bud?
No, I said 5-11.
5-11. So the Giants finished.
Which is why I honestly thought they were going to lose this week. I thought, they'll finish 5-11 like I thought they would. So, and that's why I say I'm proud of the fact that the Giants knew first things first this morning, Sunday, we got to win the game.
Yes.
And they did that. And I don't care. I don't care about anything else that happened. I don't care. I really do not care. And I'll be honest, if I was Doug Pederson and I was standing next to him last night and he was like, should we put it in Sudfield and get the 6th pick? I'd have been like, do it. Yeah, let me go get his helmet. If I was an Eagles fan, I wouldn't have had a problem with it at all. And I think most people deep down probably do feel that way. But for the Giants to go out there in a must-win game and win the game, I'll take it. To me, another great building block going into next season for the Giants.
And I know that the Giants' record is 6-10, another losing season, but it felt different from 6-10 this year to a 5-11 team last year because last year, past couple years, I should say, because yes, they had crappy records. They've been terrible records, and we never had a direction. That was the worst part about it. At least 6-10, you still have about 95% of a direction that you're going with. I think that main question still is going to be going into next year. Is Daniel Jones going to be the franchise quarterback? It's going to be the $1 million question until we actually see him take that next step, like a Josh Allen step.
I would say Baker Mayfield.
Okay, other than that, the Giants have a very bright future. Their defense is young. They're going to re-sign Leonard Williams. A hell of a season he had. I know it's a contract season, but a great game he had yesterday. The X-Man, Xavier McKinney with his first pick. A great game.
Should have 2 picks.
They should have 5 picks yesterday. About 3 of them should have been pick 6s. But there is a sort of direction, and that's what we've said. All I wanted from this Giant team this year was a direction and the right direction, not going backwards. I wanted them going forward. I can now sit here. I know 6-10. They're not in the playoffs, but I can sit here and say I'm very, very excited for Big Blue's future. Plain and simple. They have the right thing going. They're going to get Saquon back. They're going to have to figure out a receiver situation because another game, another reason why the Giants need a receiver. And they might need another tight end too because Evan Ingram, my goodness, it's amazing how he was a Pro Bowler this year. And even himself was shocked. But the Giants have a direction. I could be satisfied and excited about that.
Well, look, if you look to, the free agency market for receivers and defensive ends is pretty deep, and the Giants do have some money to spend.
No one big time.
The receiver?
Free agency? No, listen, no one that
I think Allen Robinson could be a game changer.
but no one, not like, he's not that.
If Allen Robinson can make Mitchell Trubisky decent, and we all thought Mitchell Trubisky's career as a Chicago Bear was over with, now we're thinking maybe does Chicago bring back Trubisky? I mean, Allen Robinson has displayed himself as a true. I know he's not a Devontae or DeAndre.
Yeah, but here's the thing:
like
you're
that,
going to have to
he's
pay,
right
you're
at
gonna,
that
you're
tier
going to have to pay
of-
big money for him because there's going to be a lot of teams taking the same.
Okay, so so you take your chance on a rookie receiver, or you want to pay a man like Allen Robinson who's been consistent? You've seen what he can do with a guy like Mitchell Trubisky.
I'm paying a rookie because you got to think financially long term.
Point of the matter is, look,
Listen, you're going to have to pay Jabril Peppers. You're going to have to pay Leonard Williams. Guess what?
Yep.
You can play next year if they drafted Devontae Smith or a
Jamar Chase.
Well, Jamar Chase is going to be gone by then. So Devontae
Waddle.
Smith, something like that, and Jalen Waddle, and you can't be pissed off or, oh God, they don't have a number one receiver. Well,
here's the thing.
They had the opportunity if he's there. That's if Chicago decides to franchise him.
Well, yes, well, there'll be a lot of question marks. Listen, what I said yesterday, because we got into it big time with the CMG podcast, and then it got a little thing when people want to ask me if I ever played quarterback, and I said I literally would run around circles around half you guys. And
this is a fact.
And anytime you guys want to line up in the Oklahoma drill with no pads,
bring it on, baby.
I'm
ready for that too.
So let's get back to the point. The Giants' defense is good. Okay, we know we need another extra corner, another number 2. I like where our linebacker core is. We've all talked about it, and it's common knowledge, Captain Obvious. We can use a pass rusher. That's obvious. But I think if you really truly look at the Giants as a team, you can be pretty satisfied so far going forward with what we have defensively, coaching staff. I like where our offensive line was. Our offensive line played its best game in the last 4 games because it showed. Daniel Jones, for the most part, was protected yesterday and was given time. Now, you could tell he wasn't 100%, and maybe that played into a lot of his throws. But like we said multiple times, and I'll repeat myself again, he's got 1 more year. And people are like, what do you mean 1 more year? It's the same thing you say about every quarterback now. The timing in your mind is not 5 years no more with a starting quarterback. Because 2 years ago, we were saying the same thing about Baker Mayfield and about Josh Allen and about every quarterback. And we're going to talk about 2 in a second. Because, and I'll put this when I said it to you before, because Herbert and Joe Burrow looked so good earlier in the season, that's why the pressure's on Tua. When your colleagues or your brothers do really exceptional, the pressure becomes on the younger brother to succeed as well or uphold that standard. Okay, Dwayne Haskins was a bust. Kyle Murray's really good athletically, but he's not that good. He has injuries. If Haskins and Murray were playing really well and led their teams to the playoffs, your question mark about Daniel Jones would be get rid of him now. And the only reason why you say give him another year is because
you have
the guys around him, he doesn't have the supporting cast, and the other quarterbacks that were drafted in his class have not played up to their standard. And that's what it comes down to because you're compared to your colleagues. Mm-hmm. If me and Joe are both going for the same job, but Joe is acing it every time, and I'm slacking, well, guess who's getting dropped eventually? As good as I might be a better overall person. Joe's killing it. I'm out the door. We'll find someone else. And that's what it comes down to the NFL because you want that whoa factor. People go to me, Ted, well, how many guys have a whoa factor? That's the difference. The guys that have the whoa factor are going to be the guys that you're going to be talking about every year about Super Bowl contenders. And the guys that don't have that whoa factor as a quarterback,
they might be good,
are going to be good, but they're not going to be good enough. No offense. I love Alex Smith, and I'm not trying to, but that's why they went on from him with Colin Kaepernick. Because Colin Kaepernick's upside was higher, and that's why he led him to the Super Bowl. That's why he lost his job to Mahomes, because Mahomes' element is better because there's a whoa factor. Alex Smith is great. We looked at it. Look at the stats. Consistency, wins, playoffs.
He's always been consistent since coming.
But can he get you over that hump? And I look at Daniel Jones yesterday, and people may think I'm crazy, but I look at him like there's too many inconsistencies. But that's why I give him, I'm going to be fair to him. He's got to have 1 more year. And like Joe said multiple times, let's give him a healthy Saquon for 15, 16 games. Let's give him a number 1 receiver, someone who can catch the ball consistently. I like what I saw from Sterling Shepard. I wish I saw that more consistently on a weekly basis. Because, and the other thing is, we love the tight end Ingram, but he can't catch the ball, and he's cost us not only games,
he cost us a division title. Man, we're talking the Giants in the playoff. We're talking Giants Bucks this week if Everett Ingram just catches the ball. My biggest thing, and I said this last week, if you want Daniel Jones to succeed, you have to keep Jason Garrett for another year. You cannot get another offensive coordinator and throwing another new system at him. That's not going to help. You have to at least – and I want to see Jason Garrett with a full, healthy 26 in the backfield too. Joe?
Oh, I tell you, yes. To me, that's going to be the big thing because he's never really had it. We talked so many times about how many times has he ever had all the weapons? Tate, Ingram, Shepard, Barkley in the same game. I think it's happened once.
He had one game. It was the game that Barkley got hurt against the Bears this year.
The other interesting thing, and I'm glad you brought up the idea of a new offensive coordinator. Everybody's like, hey, Dante Pettis, man, this is great. They should have had him out there weeks ago. And, of course, there was a bout with COVID, but I read something that he said. When the Giants brought him in to learn the playbook, he said it was like reading a foreign language.
Yes, I saw that too, that same thing.
I
And I'm
don't like
surprised
that.
he didn't use him on special teams more because he was
Sure.
he led the NCAA, I think, all time in
yeah.
punt return and kick return for
Boise
touchdowns.
State, yep.
I liked him out of Boise State. A lot of people remember he was a really good player out of Boise State, and I think he could be another key weapon for them. They should use him on special teams more next year because Deion Lewis had fumbled 2 out of the past 3 games on kickoff. Doesn't have that same exposure. You got to get rid of Deion Lewis. Stop. Just stop. Because he's too small. I don't understand why on 3rd down he's the blocking back.
That's what I'm trying to say. If you want Daniel Jones to succeed, you have to keep Jason Garrett for at least another year.
But give him weapons. Listen,
that's what I'm trying.
Just go around the young.
I
know
understand
that. I know I'm repeating.
But everybody's like, oh, we got to get Jason Garrett out here. Do you want Daniel Jones to succeed? Well, if you go get another offensive coordinator, you're not going to, and you expect Daniel Jones to take this next level step like a Josh Allen, top tier quarterback. That's not going to happen with a new offensive coordinator.
Baker Mayfield had 4 coordinators in 3 years.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, but again, talk about that 1-7 start in terms of all the close games and what that could have been.
Yeah.
4-4. If 4-4, that's a 9-7 team.
No,
if they had gone 5-3 instead of 1-7, like they could have if they finished the game, you're talking about a 10-6 Giants team. So on the door, you got to feel good about that because again, even after a 3-game slide, right? They started turning those losses into wins. They did it 4 weeks in a row, and then it was 3 disastrous letdowns. And you'll recall all last week, I on several different shows attacked the idea that Joe Judge, I felt like didn't have this team ready to go in what were big games. I thought the Giants were going to lose this week. That was my pick last week. Cowboys win. Because I didn't think I thought there had been such a backslide on the Giants after the last 3 weeks. There was no way they were getting up. Dallas thinking, hey, we can knock the Giants out of the playoffs right now, right off the bat. Yes, that's our Super Bowl.
That first drive, though, told me that they were a different team. Just watching them go down because they went down smooth and then the reverse. And then I'm like, oh, this is a little something different. It's not a 3 and out. There was accuracy in the throws, but I listen.
There is promise with that play.
There is promise, but I do still question Daniel Jones because even yesterday when he completed balls to Sterling Shepard, they're low. Hit him in stride, bro. You got. Listen, he's got to be more consistent.
We have to take into consideration.
He has to be.
He's still not 100%.
Don't care.
And as a quarterback,
Eli Manning wasn't 100%.
Yeah, I know, but as a quarterback.
Yeah, well, wait, time out. Eli Manning wasn't 100% a lot of the time, and we criticized him for some of those duck throws and some of the inaccuracies. And a lot of the times, we didn't hold the receivers like Ingram accountable. We've talked about this a million times. The 21 interceptions in 07, 12 of those were not his fault.
Yo, absolutely. They were deflections.
So, right. Again, there's times where we want to put it all on the quarterback, but then if we like the quarterback, we're going to finally put it on the receiver. We're starting to put it on the receivers now for the Giants a little bit. Again, look, next season, no doubt about it, if this Giants team's not in the postseason or banging on the door again for a postseason slot and not with a 1-7 kind of start, then you're set for the future at quarterback for at least a few years.
Yeah,
it'll tell you if this team gives you another 5-11 or 4-12, obviously it means that Daniel Jones was either hurt too much or played like garbage, and we're moving on to the next thing. And this is the other interesting thing. Every year they tell you that this is the best quarterback class and there's not going to be another one like it. And then next year there is.
Yeah. There's
going to be another one and another one.
I mean,
in 2 years, DJ, the freshman DJ, is going to be the number 1 pick. Spencer Rattler is going to be
Grayson McCall from Coastal, baby.
Freshman. If he continues, these are all guys that are going to be better and better.
Here's the thing.
They're only going to get
Herbert
better.
was supposed to be the guy 2 years ago, stays the next year, becomes the third quarterback drafted. You know what I mean? Joe Burrow comes out of nowhere. This year it's Zach Wilson.
That's what I'm saying.
So you don't know.
Hey, not for nothing, but does Justin Herbert's success this year, this might be a good topic to tackle maybe later this week, does his success by staying another year, maybe some of these guys like Haskins and Trubisky with like 12, 13 starts, maybe that senior year or the junior year, if you're leaving as a maybe these guys might reconsider.
Even Justin Fields, because I forget, you sent it to me on Instagram. I forget who said it. Said, I think Justin Fields staying in next year because he's only really had like 18 months. So having another year of starts, because there will be no COVID next year. So he'll be able to have a full 10, 11 game season. But if he plays really well against Bama, he's definitely coming out.
Grant, I know the Giants didn't beat anybody other than Seattle 6. I get that. That's totally understandable. But at least I just said that we didn't expect the Giants to be in week 17, literally about until 11 o'clock, maybe 10:45 last night, where the Giants maybe had a chance to go into the playoffs as NFC East champs. We didn't think that was going to happen.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The Steelers really haven't beaten anyone either all season, and we didn't knock them either. And then when they started losing to bad teams, we knocked them.
Dude.
So, at the end of the day, you play who's on your schedule.
I think that's right, dude, right? I mean, that's just a stupid argument. I mean, all you can do is beat the teams that you're playing.
They beat above 500. Weren't they 0-2 against teams above 500?
I know they got their asses kicked by Tampa Bay.
Right? Weren't they 0-2 against teams?
Well, again, not for nothing, but most teams don't do as well against the better. I mean, that's just how the NFL is.
Tampa Bay has a below 500 record against 500 against teams above 500. Listen, also, you have Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I watched Aaron Rodgers last night.
Oh, me and Dad were watching. We were just like,
he's
poetry in motion.
He's just snaps. The ball comes out. He's able to read.
Do you know how good of a year Aaron Rodgers had this year, Joe? He had more touchdowns than the Green Bay Packers punted touchdown passes than punting.
No, than his punt and actual punt.
That's incredible.
Wow.
Oh, what great Aaron Rodgers season and
48 touchdowns, 45 punts on the season. But that speaks volume of how good the offense is.
All in all, to close out this statement is, we said at the beginning of the year we wanted to see promise. We wanted to see a direction, and we see it now. I know they finished 6-10, another missed postseason, but the Giants' Big Blue future does look bright.
Hey, can I say
they will figure it out? They're going to find. They know they need a receiver help. They could add to that defense as well. They know what they have to do. The Giants' future will be bright. I'm not worried about it.
And Dave Gettleman will be back next year, because
maybe for a different role though. It might be like an advisor.
Because here's the thing: the Leonard Williams trade looks great now. Looks tremendous right now. The Logan Ryan late, where no one picks him up, looks tremendous.
Bradbury's contract, Blake Martinez's contract.
Yeah, because Bradbury's contract is like, he's up to Jalen Ramsey's standard, but he's not getting paid $100 million. Jabril Peppers in the trade with Dexter Lawrence for Beckham. Look how much that's paid off.
Panned out.
I mean, except for the Saquon thing and Daniel Jones, and those are the two big question marks that are holding over his head. Every kind of other move that he's made has worked out for the most part. Even hiring Joe Judge has worked out.
So, Giant fans, I know we're not in the playoffs. I know we could be angry at Eagles, but no, they had their opportunities, but the future does look bright for Big Blue. Let's move over to the AFC and another New York team, but no, it's not the New York Jets, because there are some good teams in the New York tri-state area, and that's the Buffalo Bills, the hottest team maybe in football, or is it? Because right now, the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills, boy, oh boy, these two teams look like offensive juggernauts right now. We're seeing Lamar Jackson get going. We're seeing this running attack. Oh, by the way, Baltimore finished again first in the NFL in rushing.
Yeah, they had 408 yards rushing.
They probably weren't. Yeah, that helps when you play Cincinnati. It helps when you play the Bengals. Do you remember the
stat we saw? They had 38 plays to 9.
And that's scary. And that's what they do. But also,
they are getting better and better, and they are healthy.
My biggest key for both of these teams is not the quarterback play. It's which of their weaknesses offensively is going to come up when they need them. Baltimore's passing game or Buffalo's running game. Because we know Buffalo has a legit passing game. Josh Allen maybe will finish probably second in the MVP this year, only behind Rodgers. We know what Baltimore's running game can do. They can run on anybody. We've seen it the past 2 years. But can that weakness of the passing game, can they make enough plays, or can that running game, Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, can they make enough plays for those two teams to advance into the postseason? That should be the real question. That's the real question, because we know both teams are great right now. Both defenses are playing great. I mean, the offenses, the Buffalo Bills put up almost 60 points yesterday.
Also you had the pick six and the special teams.
But that's what I'm saying. Their defense is looking great. Baltimore State, these two teams are looking great. It's just which of the team's weaknesses are going to make the plays for those two teams to be successful.
Well, also, here's the other thing. What coach do you trust? Do you trust Sean McDermott or do you trust
Harbaugh?
Harbaugh.
Plain and simple. He has a Super Bowl. He's been through it all. He has seen every type of adversity, success, failure. He's seen it all.
Joe, I told my coworkers last night, I pretty much know how the wild card weekend's going to go. You can almost foresee it.
Hey, if you're a betting man right now and you're watching.
So here's the thing. The Colts are going to get beat up by the Bills. First game, Saturday, 1 o'clock. All right? That's easy. Yeah. Okay, the 4 o'clock game, I have no idea which Rams team is going to show up, and that depends on Jared Goff. The 8 o'clock game, Tampa's going to rout. But, Joe, here's my prediction going forward with the AFC. I think it's setting up perfectly with my prediction where I had in the Super Bowl. Baltimore is going to beat Tennessee. They are going to beat Tennessee.
Hey, Joe, you want to go a little double or nothing this time?
I think, and I truly believe that because after what I've seen from Tennessee the past couple weeks defensively, and I know this is about Baltimore and Buffalo, but I'll get to my point real quick, is Tennessee's defense is flawed. And they were up by
they're lucky they won yesterday.
Lucky they won, and they've done that multiple times this year. And thank God for Derrick Henry's 2,000 yards and Tannehill being able to play at it. And
thank you for AJ Brown being a
dude, AJ Brown, man, when he's in the lineup and
didn't have some kind of double coverage, safety over the top to help him.
How about just prevent defense?
On me,
get the guy to catch underneath. Here's the thing: I think Baltimore takes care of business at Tennessee. That's why they're a favorite on the road at Tennessee. I think this is payback too. This is payback. Yeah. So Baltimore beats Tennessee. I think the Bills are going to take care of business, and I think the Browns get housed. Because they could barely beat Pittsburgh this week when they had everything to play for, and Pittsburgh had their backup quarterback and backups in. So I think this sets up perfectly. This is the rematch Lamar and Ravens want. They're going to go into Kansas City and beat them.
And I did say
because it's going to be 21 days since Mahomes has thrown his last pass.
And we did say that
the Chiefs have not been playing well down the stretch. I think when your team is, you want to be hot playing you want to be flowing into the playoffs. The Chiefs are not playing well. And I think this is payback. And if I can say one thing, Baltimore's running game right now can control the clock. And if you can control the clock,
keep 15 off the field.
Keep 15 off the field. And to play it like the Giants versus the Bills in the 91 Super Bowl, 1990. It was like 38 to 40 minutes of play clock against that Bills offense that could score with Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas and Andre Reed and James Lofton. Keep them off the field. Baltimore beats Kansas City in Kansas City and plays against Buffalo in the AFC Championship game in Buffalo.
I mean, Joe,
because I think if you look at these two teams, these are the two hottest teams. These are the two best quarterbacks playing in the AFC right now, Lamar and Josh Allen. So everything in my crystal ball says these two teams should match up in the AFC Championship game.
It's on you, Joe.
Yeah, look, I think the Chiefs are definitely a flawed team. I think, their ability to effectively run the football could become a big issue for them.
Yep.
But then I think about, right now, do I feel better about Buffalo's weaker running game compared to, I just feel like when you put it on Lamar, the postseason.
You don't have that full trust in Lamar yet.
I love him.
Do you have that full trust in Josh Allen?
What is easier to do? And the running game has been more explosive now than it's ever been. They've opened things up, and I think you can control the running game. We've talked about this. When you run the ball, only good things can happen. When you pass the ball, 2 bad things can happen out of 3: incomplete or an interception.
Joe, let me ask you this question. So you don't trust Lamar, but the last time we saw Josh Allen in the postseason, he blew a 16-0 lead to the Texans. Who do you have more trust in then? Do you have more trust in Josh Allen still, or do you have trust in Lamar because of Allen's ability to just toss it, just throw the ball, stretch the field with his arm? Is that why you would lean and give the edge to Josh Allen?
I would say that's about right. I mean, look, what did I say a few weeks ago when Lamar came back in late, right, won a game, 5 for 5, right, came back, made some big plays. Mm-hmm. Regular season magic is what Lamar Jackson does. He's a great regular season quarterback.
I understand.
Jury's still out on Josh Allen. Not a good first go round, Mm-hmm. So less failure rate at this point. I mean, for me, if Lamar gets to Kansas City and he doesn't win, Teddy, where's he at now? You know what I mean? And I worry about that.
Well, I like
their
because he's still getting the reputation as
right, but it looks exactly like you're saying. Like, this is going to set up for him to go in there, and he could very well go in there and light them up. But if he doesn't, that's a big step backwards for Lamar Jackson.
And my only close relationship that pops in my head is Peyton Manning losing to Brady consecutive years. For the first 6-7 years,
just in general, he couldn't win.
Well, and he couldn't beat Brady. It seemed like he always ended up going against Brady and losing. So it would be Lamar versus Mahomes, which I think would be ideal for the NFL. The two MVPs. I mean, you just set up, and then I think you set up Josh Allen and the Bills versus the Steelers. I think that's where your AFC matchup is going to be in the next round. Those are the 4 best teams. Cleveland, whatever they're in, good for them. They're going to be out by Pittsburgh, just like they were last time when they lost in 2002.
And I still say that the 3 hottest teams in the NFL right now is one of them that is on this.
No, all 3 right now. Right now, the 3 hottest teams are on the screen.
The
Packers.
No, you can't forget about the Buccaneers, man. I've been on the.
Don't, Trev. Who they played the last 4 weeks plays a factor. And they were down by more than 10 points against Atlanta 3 weeks ago, and they had to come back to beat Atlanta. Then yesterday, every time you look, it was 27-23, 30-27, and then late touchdowns by Brady late to made it 40-27. So it makes, but the score is skewed by you look at. If you watch the games, Atlanta was never really truly out of the game.
Atlanta's just the choke artist. We know how talented Atlanta is. They're one of the most talented teams. That team should be in the playoffs or in contention or been that wild card division race every year. They're that talented. They're just choke artists. That's all they are. So let's get off of the Atlanta crap because that's all they've been since their Super Bowl debacle. They're choke artists. They're one of the most talented teams. They're a more talented team than the New York Giants. They just can't finish games. They choke. That's it. I'm done with talking about the Atlanta Falcons.
I know. It wasn't talking Atlanta.
No, but I know you made it seem like,
Atlanta
was. But Atlanta's talented. They're one of the most talented teams in the league.
But
their record just doesn't show.
Okay, but Tampa Bay. Who they played the last couple of years?
Are you not going to have trust in TB12?
Not when they go to Green Bay and lose. They're not going to want to play in 23-degree weather after they beat Washington. Not going to happen because they're going to be the lowest seed. It's going to be 1 versus 5, okay? And the Saints are going to win. I'm
about to do the new Nick Young meme. Like, what? Like, Tom Brady was just in for 20 freaking years in the Northeast.
Dude, what did he say on Colin the other day?
Oh, of course.
I don't want to travel back to the Northeast.
No, that's not the Northeast. Today's not the North. Hey, listen, you better go back to school.
It's like the Great North. It's even worse.
Thank you, Joe.
It's the Midwest.
It's even worse.
Why?
You are not going to want to go to Green Bay in January.
You did say.
Tom doesn't like the cold. Tampa Bay don't like the cold. Devin White and Mike Evans, are they going to be healthy enough to play in that game? Because Mike Evans is their most valuable receiver on that team who didn't need to play yesterday, but got hurt in a knee injury because Bruce Arians, wants to.
All I've been saying is these
roll
three
the dice.
teams, I mean, you can't take out the Buccaneers because of how much talent.
I don't trust the Bucs. I trust the Saints, and I trust the Packers.
I don't trust the Saints.
I do not trust the Saints.
I do,
especially with Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara's out right now.
Their defense can cause havoc on all 3 levels. Linebackers, defensive front, and second.
Yeah, and their quarterback could cause havoc for themselves.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Because they have 1 quarterback, they have 2 quarterbacks. Because Taysom Hill is another component that you have to add. And I think the best thing that happened to him was he actually had to play live quarterback in real games, not just 6 plays a game. He actually had to win games. So if they have to go to Taysom Hill, if something happens to Breeze, I think they have faith in him that he can win, and I think they can control the game clock with Taysom Hill running the football.
I need to see it to believe it.
I really truly believe it, and I think they make a good point last night. And I know you've been saying that. I'm going to repeat myself, but the Saints kind of went all in. They know Drew Brees. This is his last season. Everything is going to try to work for the Saints this year.
Are you saying the fix is in?
Could be.
Saying the fix is in?
I had the Saints in Baltimore in the Super Bowl.
So did I. And I had the Ravens winning. You had the Saints, I believe? All in all, right now, Buffalo.
Stevie Lynch, he's 6. The Packers win every game by 10 points.
Wow.
Hey, listen,
10 plus points. That's old.
Listen,
okay.
The great thing about that is the defense that we have knocked has played really well the past month.
Losing David Bakhtiari is going to be massive for Green Bay.
I think the Bucs are the only team that could hang with the Packers like punch for punch.
Yes. Agree.
I don't think
Why not
I
just
mean, look,
offensively, you can't
figure
keep
the
up?
Packers are going to put up 35, 45 points against whoever they play. I agree they
Well,
win
well,
every
well,
game by 10. I wouldn't be shocked by that at all. I don't know how the Saints are going to be able to hang.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, they average 30 points a game with Breeze. They were 30.1 points a game. Their defense is really good. You could put their defense actually better than the Packers. And then my question would be to you guys is, do you give Seattle any chance with Russell Wilson? Because Russell, I feel like, is an X factor.
Their offense has been really strong.
I know.
Their defense is playing well, but they got a tough matchup.
You heard what Aaron Donald
They
said
got a
yesterday, right?
very tough matchup this week.
Did you see Aaron Donald's comments after the game? When Joe said they interviewed Aaron Donald after the game, and they go, I don't know if you guys know, but you're playing the Seattle next week. And he goes, good. Can't wait. That's exactly who we wanted.
I mean,
we're looking forward to
surprised
it.
if the Seattle Seahawks are one and done, because that's the toughest matchup to pick in this entire wild card
Rams have the
weekend
best
by
defense
far.
in football. The Rams have the
It
number
all
one
comes down
defense.
to, will Jared Goff be playing? That's the key. That's definitely going to be
Aaron
the key.
Donald up the middle, going pressure against and put Jalen Ramsey on Devontae
So we
Adams.
talked about
There
the
you go.
NFC, but did we pick who's more dangerous to beat the Chiefs?
I
Buffalo
say Baltimore
Okay.
because of their running game. Because here's the thing: what if you get bad weather, right?
And Arrowhead is a possibility.
And anywhere you're up in Buffalo. What if you get bad weather? If you get snow or you get rain, you want to run the football. If you can't run the football, what are you going to do? You can't throw the ball all over the field in a snowy, rain, or windy game. You got to be able to run the football. That's why I think if anybody has the best chance in the AFC to take down the Chiefs, it's Baltimore because of their running game.
And their defense.
And they're getting healthy, and they've been there,
Joe.
and they have veterans, and they have a coach that's won a Super Bowl. So everything lines up for them to succeed.
Joe.
It would just be a matter, as Joe said, can Lamar Jackson play like he does in the regular season in the playoffs?
And you said Buffalo, Joe? Did you actually have a set answer on that? Or did you have Buffalo?
Yeah, I just really like the way. I mean, look, I don't want to. When I say I like the way Buffalo's playing and that I trust Buffalo more, that's not to say I don't trust Baltimore or that I don't think Baltimore could. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the year, especially the way the guys have been playing the last 3-4 weeks. I think Lamar could beat anybody right now. But I also think the same thing of Josh Allen, and I think if somebody's going to topple the Chiefs, I think those are the teams that do it, and this is the year it's going to happen.
And you can't forget about the elephant in the room, COVID. Let's not hope that COVID-19 does play a major factor or a major role in these playoffs, because God forbid, if that does happen and a big-name player goes out like Lamar, who's already been out early in the season because of COVID, man, that would just be that would be so unfortunate, but it could happen.
Joe, you know what I said to Trev the other day? And my cousin Bernard was over here, and I just said, you know what, if I would have done the NFL to kind of CYA kind of cover their rear ends, was this: have the AFC in one bubble and the NFC in the other bubble. And what I mean by bubble is find an area, and I was thinking like Dallas, Texas, right? Because there's a lot of big-time high schools around there. So you can get plenty of practice facilities for teams to work on it. The weather is good, and you can play the games at 1, 4, and 8 at Dallas Stadium, and you could have fans there. Then you put the NFC teams like in the South, like in Florida, where there's a lot of big-time colleges or high school venues right around the corner. You could play all the games within a 3-mile radius. You could play them either in Tampa, where the Super Bowl is being played. You can play them in Miami or Jacksonville. But what I mean by that is, if you can control, if you're in Dallas, right? Think about this. When they pick Super Bowl places, they want to know if it's a metropolitan area, big enough place that you can have millions of fans, venues, things, right? So a place where you can hold a lot of people. I just worried that what would happen to a playoff team if a major guy goes down, like the Saints yesterday. I know they won the game, but God forbid next week all 4 running backs have COVID again.
Well, it isn't.
Well, now listen, I know Kamara is available. I said it this morning. They said he is available
Because he is playing on Sunday. If they were playing Saturday, he'd be out.
But that plays a huge factor. And I'm surprised the NFL hasn't even thought about something like that where, hey, listen, Jerry, you have a big practice field, you have a big stadium, you got a couple stadiums around. Can we put everyone in a hotel in an area? This team's in that hotel, and you control the environment so you don't have an oops.
Well,
because I think if I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm putting Mahomes and every major guy in a bubble, and I'm not letting him out of his house.
I mean, the NCAA just came out today and saying they're going to be holding the NCAA tournament in Indianapolis. So, I mean, everybody did it. Most teams, I mean, the NBA did it, the NHL, the MLB has done it. And now NFL, let's just hope that nothing goes wrong because they finished the season. You got the peanut gallery over there? Stiff arm him. Derrick Henry him.
He's out. He's out. He got his phone.
No, but we've made it to the playoffs. Let's just hope that nothing seriously happens to one of the big names or just in general, because we want to see the best of the best. We want to see the best teams play. We're going to get the best 14 teams in the playoffs this year, and let's see what happens. Let's finish off with this, though, because there was a team that had a chance to be in this year's playoffs, but got dismantled, demolished, whatever you want to say.
By a better team.
But the big question is, and it's going to be one of the main questions that will be going on throughout this entire offseason until maybe April's NFL draft, and that is the Miami Dolphins. What will they do with Tua Tagovailoa? Are they going to stick with him, or are they going to move on, because they do have currently slated as the number 3 pick because of Houston's trade with Laramie Tunsil?
Do you guys remember my prediction?
I know you said they would lead him to the playoffs,
week
and
6,
you were completely wrong.
Well, I
blew it.
Well, I was close enough, but that was pretty special because Trev was like, "Oh, did you make a prediction?" I was like, "No." I was like, "Come back to me," and I was like, "I got one." And Joe was like, "What is it?" And I was like, "After week 6, they'll be 3-3, and Tua will lead them to the playoffs at 9-7." Because I thought 9-7 would have been
Joe.
Good
He
enough.
thinks this is horseshoes, close, but no cigar. Next time, buddy.
So the question is Tua the guy for the future? I saw on Twitter last night. I could not believe how many Miami fans, Joe, had turned their back on Tua already. Listen, you can look it up last night. Just type in Tua on Google. How many trade him, get rid of him? When a year goes, tank for Tua. We need Tua. We need him. We need him like we need Jesus. And then all of a sudden, it's like he stinks. He's awful. I will look at it this way. I do question Tua a little bit, but let's be honest. I'll use this in the same way I use Daniel Jones. Let's put some weapons around him. He has no running back. He doesn't have a legit running back. And he doesn't have a legit receiver. You're going to tell me Devontae Parker? That's nice. That's a nice piece.
He's a good number 2.
Let's get a nice young receiver to team him up. Let's get a Jamar Chase. Let's get a Devontae Smith. Let's get a Jalen Waddle. Someone. They'll have the 3rd and the 18th pick. Yep. All right? We know we have a defensive-minded coach. We have a really good coach. I think
they go offensive tackle with their first pick.
They could go Penny Sewell
because he is a lefty, and they would need a right tackle.
So there's a lot of possibilities with what you can do with this Miami. And they have the 7th most cap space of all the teams in the NFL. So only 6 other teams have more cap space than. So they made all the right moves. You got to give Tua another year. There's stats that we had where he dinks and dunks, whatever, and he doesn't look like he's stretching the field. But maybe that's the game plan.
Here's my thing.
Because
the thing that hurts Tua right now is the success of Justin Herbert, the success of guys like Josh Allen that have taken that. Joe Burrow's out, so I can't really say anything.
But he was really succeeding.
He was playing well.
But they put weapons.
Hold on. You know what? Hold on. You know, it's funny that you say that. Let me just jump in just for a second. As you were talking, I just threw together a list of these guys, right? Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, even though I know they missed out. I think all of those teams feel good about those guys. The development of those guys.
You think the Browns feel good about Baker?
Yes, I think.
Yeah, you do now. You do now.
Extension.
Good.
I think now that they finally understand that he is the guy. They were 0-16 to 1-15 to last year, where you could see improvement. This year, they found the right coach, which makes the biggest difference. We talked about this, just like the Giants. They understand what he's about. Run the football, play action pass, and Baker Mayfield is good enough. And he got them to 11 wins. Think about it. If they were in the NFC South, they might win 12 or 13 games.
I had predicted 5-11 for Baker this year and a complete disaster. So I was look. I thought he wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Look, I'm glad I was wrong for Baker's sake. I kind of like Colin Cowherd in that respect. I don't like Baker. I'll never trust Baker. But what are you going to say? He took him to the playoffs. That's what you want. Yep. It's funny. Next season, I assume that the Jags take Trevor Lawrence. They go 2-14. There will be idiots who will be like, get rid of him, right? And it's like, well, what did we just go 1-15 for? Again, I want to point this out to again, because I think it bears repeating. Grabbing the number 1 quarterback overall or one of the top 2 quarterbacks in a draft does not magically make your team better. It didn't make the Bengals better. Joe Burrow was playing well, but they weren't winning games. Justin Herbert earlier in the year, I know everybody was like, oh, the guy's putting up great numbers. I didn't think he was playing that well. The end of the season, as you fellas know, I like what I see. I get rid of Anthony Lynn, get that guy a coach. I mean, that's a good team. He's a really good quarterback. Giants fans with Daniel Jones, Mitch Trubisky, Wentz, Darnold.
Sam
I mean,
Darnold. Yeah.
There's obviously a time limit on how long you're going to get. And
Because
as you
see all these
mentioned,
other-
Teddy, the 5-year window is down to 3. But let's be honest.
It's almost that
I
time.
want results as soon as you step in.
It's 3 because here's the thing: you have to figure out if you're going to give him the 5th-year rookie extension. So that's what happens is because Baker Mayfield was coming to his 4th season. So what they're going to do is they'll ante up his 5th year, pay him the rookie 5th-year deal, and we'll figure out again what he'll be because you have that opportunity, just like the Cowboys. Same thing. You franchise and you hold on. You want to prove it because what happens is you start looking around the league and you start looking at a division like, is this – same thing with Denver. I'll use Drew Lock. Same thing. Like, you're thinking if you're Denver, I know Drew Lock's only had 2 seasons, but hey, you're like a top 10 pick. Do I take Mac Jones? Do I take Trey Lance from North Dakota State? Do I move on from a guy because, hey, listen, I had Jared Judy, I had Cortland Sutton, I had Melvin Gordon, I had Philip Lindsay, I drafted Noah Fant, the tight end. I got pieces around him. He hasn't proven. And here's the thing: you got to look at it in a mental capacity. There's Patrick Mahomes. He's not leaving your division
Ever.
You got Justin Herbert now.
He's probably
so
never
now
leaving either.
You're playing for 3rd place every year. If
what if the Raiders get a quarterback?
You can't win the division with the 4th best quarterback in your division. It just doesn't happen. More likely than not, it just doesn't happen. Maybe if you have the best running game and the best defense, it can happen. But more likely than not, it's not going to happen. You got to have one of the 2 best quarterbacks in your division to be that great team.
And with this whole thing with Tua, the Dolphins have finally got parted ways with also Chan Gailey, the offensive coordinator. Chan Gailey's not the right guy for Tua. He's never been.
James, I like that. I like that.
Wilson to Denver.
I like that.
He's from the Mountain West.
Fits
Conference.
perfectly.
It'd be nice. My thing is with Tua, he needs a guy not like Chan Gailey. He's not going to beat you. He's, as they've always said in the pre-draft comparisons, they compared Tua to like a Drew Brees coming out. Short, accurate throws, pinpoint. He makes those, but he's not going to beat you with stretching the field. Chan Gailey's that guy. He's a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's why they were a match made in heaven in Buffalo. That's why they were working in Miami. You got to find an offensive coordinator that's right for Tua as well. He's not going to beat you with stretching the field. He's going to beat you with the little dink and dunks. This is a talented team, the Miami Dolphins. They are going in the right direction. But it's going to be one of the main questions this entire offseason is, are they going to stick with Tua, or are they going to seriously contemplate drafting Justin Fields, Zach Wilson? What do they do? That's all I'm trying to say. They have to give Tua. It's only been what?
1 year.
How many? No, how many games?
He started week 6. He started week 6.
9.
He missed 1 game.
He started 9 games.
Yeah,
Okay.
but don't forget, he got pulled in 3 of the last 4 games. And he also didn't play 1 game when Fitzpatrick was a starter. So he really probably played about 6.5, 7 games. But here, there was no preseason, so he didn't have the preseason. So let's give him a full 4 games preseason next year. Let's give him an all-season. Let him have another year of healthy. Listen, his body held up. So that's first things first. If you're a Miami fan, his body held up. He was able to withstand a full NFL season. Whatever it was, he was able to withstand. Yep. We got to get him some weapons. We got it. The defense is fine. They have 2 starting cornerbacks. They have linebackers. They have pass rushers. They have a great defensive-minded coach. I think Brian Flores should win Coach of the Year or at least be one of the top 2 candidates with Sean McDermott.
How about Kevin
from
Stefanski?
Maybe that too. There's so many great coaches.
A lot of coaches.
So with that being said, let's put some weapons around him. Let's get him maybe Pederson, the left tackle, and at 18, let's go get a receiver. They have 4 of the top 50 picks. Let's go get some weapons for him. Let's see what he's all about. If next year, listen, if he tanks, and you got to start pulling him, because there's going to be no Fitzpatrick next year. Then I think you question it. Dallas will try to move.
I could see that. I could see it. Jerry makes bold moves. If they like, never know.
Listen, I think a lot of teams are going to make a lot of bold moves because I think everyone. Dallas went on these big contracts, hasn't worked out. Philly, what are they going to do with Carson Wentz? We're talking about a guy who's only played 9 games. We're like, should we already?
Because you're seeing the success of these younger quarterbacks. Josh Allen, who's going to be in the AFC East for the rest of his career. He's not going anywhere. Buffalo will never let him leave. You're seeing Justin Herbert, who had the greatest rookie season ever as a quarterback. You're seeing these young guys. Joe Burrow, before he was getting hurt, he looked the part. I know the record didn't say, but he looked the part. Kyler Murray has looked the part at times, but they're going to go forward with him. And there's teams like the Giants and the Jets and the Eagles, and you can put now the Miami Dolphins that are like, yeah, we got a quarterback, but is this actually going to be our guy for the next 10 to 12 years?
Because when Fitzpatrick was in, their offense was more.
Hold on. How absurd is it in 9 starts to decide especially when he's 6-3 in those 9 starts. I don't care that they went to the bullpen. Fact of the matter is it's the NFL. And for any starting quarterback to be 6-3, 6-2, matter of fact, going into that game against Buffalo,
Alex Smith was the best quarterback.
To completely turn. Look, if you're the Giants and you're looking at Daniel Jones's record, you could legitimately this guy sucks. And what are we doing? You could still make that argument to me. I'll debate you back, but I would understand it. Mm-hmm. The kid's 6-3.
Yeah, but I think the reason they argue, I understand he had 6-3, but some people will be like, well, he had the biggest game of his career yesterday, a chance for your team to go to the playoffs, and you laid a major dud, and you didn't look good at all. The one pick that he threw to Josh Norman for the pick 6, his receiver fell, but the other 2 picks, bad throws. And you see moments like that, you want to have a quarterback that can flourish in moments like that. You don't want to see him take a step back and be like, this is a guy that looks like a JV. They
got hit with a mudslide yesterday.
Yeah, I think they played a much better team.
I get that. You have to make it to
Miami. This defense was one of the best defenses in the league. I think they were the number 1 scoring defense in football. Gave up 56 points yesterday. So this is a team that plays great defense. Says, hey, Tua, don't lose the game for us. Do what you do best. 18-24, 195 yards. Throw me a touchdown, no picks. We're going to run the football, control the clock, and play good defense, and we're going to win football games. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can win a lot of football games that way. What are you laughing at? What do you want to say?
Mike Glennon stinks. How many times are we going to mention?
If he had some weapons, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, they're going to pass on Trevor Lawrence.
Mike Glennon and Devontae Smith would take the Jaguars from 1-15 to 0-16, but it would be fun to watch.
Let's pump the brakes because, like Ted said, a year ago, people were saying let's tank for Tua. Now all of a sudden, but I did say fans in Miami, they have more control, whereas a team like the Giants and the Steelers, teams like that, they don't listen to their fans.
Last couple of years, the Mirrors have listened to the Giant fans because the Giant fans.
Yeah, the Giant fans want Daniel Jones.
Because guys who are actual,
people?
What the hell is the word? Actually have season tickets. The Mirrors took a lot of letters from fans last year for how bad the Giants' disgrace was. And the Mirrors took it seriously because they even wrote a letter to the Giant fans, writing back to every single one of the Giant fans about how they were going to do better and change. Because the Giant fans had been sick of it. They had written letters. Look it up. You'd be surprised. The Mirrors have a lot of power.
I wonder how Giant fans would have survived in the 80s or the 70s when they were god-awful.
They weren't charging $30,000 for a PCL or PSL.
Well, nobody went to freaking the games this year at all. So who cares? We got to wait until maybe next year, if that's even possible.
I think it's insane that anybody at this point would suggest that Tua shouldn't at least get a shot. Like, why?
Have a full year.
I can't even understand why they're not like, well, that was.
Get for him. I mean, if you're like a team that, like, if you're Atlanta, would you trade the 4th pick for Tua?
No, I'm not.
You moving on from Matt Ryan? I know. I'm saying stupidly hypothetically, but
what could you get for a quarterback you just drafted last year, who has a disastrous last game of the year?
You know who
what
would take
you get for him? I mean,
you know who would take him.
You definitely get a first. You're definitely getting a first.
Yeah, good old Buddy Bill. Why not?
A little up north.
Who, New England?
Yeah, the good old state of Boston. You know, a guy named Bill Belichick would just learn for a guy like that.
I'm sure Bill's made the call.
And he's got multiple. And here's the thing: he's got multiple picks. So say, here you go, Mike.
Brian. Happy New Year. What are you doing with Tua? I'm sure it went like that.
You want 2 second-round picks? Now you can have 6 picks in the top 50.
Hold on, people need to we need to just pump the brakes on the whole Tua thing. Let's give him a full year. 100% agree with you, Joe. But
we are an overreaction society.
But in a time where you're seeing
he had a much better record as a starter than Justin Herbert did.
But that's the team.
Listen, but Teddy, at the end of the day, what are we trying? Hold on. What are we trying to do? Are we trying to be 6-3 or are we trying to be 7-9?
No, I'm trying to be 10-6.
Look. Absolutely right. Now listen, my point is,
do you think they'd be better if Herbert was their quarterback?
Say that now.
No, you said it yesterday.
I know.
You
We
said to
say
me
that now.
You said
No,
to
and
me,
I said
do
we say
Dolphins fans or are Dolphins fans going to look back 5 years from now?
I know.
Because even Mom was pissed and say, did they take the wrong quarterback?
Well, isn't
You
that the
say it
game we
now.
played with Phillip Rivers and Ben Roethlisberger forever? Didn't we play that game from 2004 on? What if we would have had Phillip Rivers instead? You know, you're going to play that game forever. I'm sure the Giants are still wishing now Herbert would have came out last year.
I
But
think
then
the
again,
Giants.
like I said, did that extra year at college, is that would make the difference for Herbert? Is that why he's a little bit more game ready than maybe some of these other rookies are?
Him, and he's also got a 4.0 GPA in biology. Graduated in 2.5 years.
Hey, Joe, guess what? That's why they call it Overreaction Monday.
Absolutely.
Everybody's overreacting. I know they had a chance to go to the playoffs and they got embarrassed by it. As we know, probably maybe the hottest team in the entire league right now.
18 years.
Huh?
18 years.
Browns were 20.
No.
The Dolphins hadn't made the postseason in 18 years.
The Browns in 18 as well.
2002.
Yeah, last time they played the Pittsburgh Steelers, and looks like they're going to play them next week.
They were up by 17 points. Kelly Holcomb was the
I'm
quarterback.
not going to lie, though.
Like,
Holcomb.
Well, don't worry.
Love
Then the
that
Giants
kid.
lost the next day
I'm
against San Francisco by 18 points.
Not 18 points.
They were up by 18 points and they lost.
They were up
Tito.
38. They were up 38-14. They blew a 24-point lead. All in all, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be a little ticked off watching the 8 o'clock game next Saturday night between Tampa and Washington because it would have been fun to watch the Giants on Saturday night, NBC against Brady. It would have been fun. But, hey, things are going to be looking up for the Giants. Things will be looking up for Miami, too. You got to keep rolling what you got right now. You got to give Tua at least another year or so, just like Joe said, 100% agree with them.
Hey, if
Let's
I'm
not bank on 9 games, but I know with the young quarterbacks that have been flourishing in this league, you want to know, is this your guy or not? Because if not, people lose jobs, plain and simple. When you make decisions and you hold off on those decisions, some people lose those jobs. So the Dolphins do have a serious question to figure out, but like Joe said, 100% agree. They need to give him another year.
He had 2 picks, by the way, in his first 8 starts. Only
Tua?
2 interceptions. Tua did, yeah. And I'll tell you, I didn't watch this game yesterday, and I haven't even honestly watched the highlights yet. So I don't want to get too analytical about it. Everything I've seen from Tua, again, the way he throws the football, the way he commands himself on the field, to me, that's a winning quarterback.
Can I tell you one thing?
That's why I say, look, and again, I know he got helped in relief a few times, but 6-3 with a rookie.
I'll put it this way.
You got to take that.
Joe, analytically, I watched some of the game yesterday and I saw some of the highlights. He looked better 5 weeks ago when that game against Kyler Murray in Arizona than he did at Buffalo. If you watched the game against Arizona that week, he ran the ball with authority. The ball was coming out of his hand with command and understanding of where he was throwing the ball. It wasn't like, I hope it goes there. It's going there. If you watch that game, he was on command that game. He was on fire.
Yeah,
and then last night, and I just wonder this, the other question is, did the cold and playing in Buffalo have anything to factor? Because he is not a cold guy. Came from Hawaii, played in Alabama. There's not many cold games in Alabama and Hawaii. So could that be a factor? Maybe.
Now you never know if it's.
But I'm just saying,
this is Hawaii.
I mean,
you never know because
he looked better his first couple of games than he did down the stretch, which is kind of.
I agree.
It should be the opposite, but maybe
Dolphins,
teams start to figure out who you are and what you are.
Dolphins, Joyce, your future looks bright. Just wait one more year. See what happens.
Especially after what it was last year.
And like I said,
By the way,
football.
By the way, Trev,
Well,
Kelly
is this one more
Holcomb.
thing?
This is my one more thing. Kelly Holcomb was my Mike Glennon back in the old days.
Kelly Holcomb. Remember Kelly Holcomb?
Yeah, I'm the one that said it. I watched the thing this morning. The Browns had lost. The last time they won was 1994. The Browns and Bill Belichick were the coach. Pepper Johnson was a thing.
Yep.
And Vinny Testaverde was the quarterback. Then they lost the next week in the divisional round to the Steelers. Then they lost again. And then in 2002, they lost to the Steelers. I forgot who they lost.
Tommy Maddox.
I know that in 2002 to Tommy Maddox, but they lost to the Steelers.
I'm pretty certain. I'm pretty certain somewhere in the 2000s, I had a season where I was the Jaguars, no kidding, and Kelly Holcomb was my starting quarterback. I had traded everybody for draft picks. I like Kelly Holcomb.
I'm not going to lie. I have played with Jackson.
You traded Mark Brunell?
Yeah, immediately.
And Fred Taylor?
Everybody. Clean house. Fred Taylor. Oh yeah,
Nah,
dude, I
Taylor's
voted up
a
on
beast.
all ones and twos. All
You can't
first,
say
and then I
Taylor. Taylor's one of my favorites.
drafted a completely original team with the Jags.
Okay, well,
Won like 6 or 7 Super Bowls. It was glorious.
What'd you play on, rookie?
Anytime you want to madden up,
I suck
name
at
the
that.
time, name the play. Oh, because I know.
I suck at
Come on over. We're playing the big screen.
I can't play on all Madden, but I'm an all pro guy all day. All Madden is too hard. It's impossible.
Well, me and you will play UFC. I'll show you a thing or two.
Oh, I'll do a lot. That's fun.
We got Home Run Derby. We got the MLB show.
Yeah, you could be Ted Williams.
You could be Ted Williams. You could be Gary Sanchez and actually hit home runs
And don't miss the ball.
and not strike out.
He does hit home runs and
Yeah,
he strikes
every
out.
1,000 years.
All right.
Every
Yeah.
1,000 years.
He
No,
doesn't get any singles.
ladies and gentlemen, we have made it to postseason time in the NFL. I cannot wait for Wild Card Weekend. I cannot wait for this upcoming weekend because, well, Monday night, my Buckeyes get to play a chance to win the national championship. Even though those CMG boys never thought we had a chance, but it's okay. Give us another 50-0 loss. I love it. Anyways, fans, let's enjoy because we have one more month left of football. Sorry to break everybody's hearts, but we've made it here, and here we go. It's crunch time. It's playoff time. The best of the best are about to start. We're going to be, thank you, Jace. Thank you, Big Jace. He is the host of Drawing About the G-Men. What else? Isn't he a host of other shows? What other shows?
Oh, he's on a million shows.
He's
Hard Downs, hard hitting wrestling.
Hard hitting wrestling show. He's on all those shows, so check him out as well.
He
as
just did
CMG podcast.
He just did a basketball podcast, I think, too.
Yeah, they just started a basketball podcast.
Yeah, posting up, by the way. Yeah, posting up
I
podcast.
really haven't
so.
seen a lot of the basketball season yet. I haven't gotten into it yet.
I know Curry had 62 last night.
Yeah, he did. Get on that because they're gonna want Trevor's basketball expertise.
Oh, because then then I tell them I'm a Laker fan. They're gonna think I'm a front runner too. But okay, that's fine. It's okay. I've been a Laker fan all my life.
Wait, hold on, real
What?
quick, just so I can run through the list: Yankees, Ohio State, Lakers,
Mhm.
Giants.
Rangers, and I'm a Duke fan.
Ooh.
All teams that people hate.
You're the front runner teams. That's why. Now, that's a, you can't pick a front runner team when you're a kid, I suppose. But you see where people might think that's.
No, so Joe, see, I'm all New York except for basketball.
Well, I'm all New York fan.
Orlando Magic and
Hey, I became
and
a
the Florida Gators.
I became a Laker fan with Kobe and Shaq. Once I started following them, I fell in love with
Orlando
those guys.
Magic, Penny Hardaway and Shaq, Nick Anderson, Dennis
What
Scott,
do you want me
Ronnie
to do? I fell in
Cycling,
love
Brian
with those
Hill,
two guys. Those
and
are
then
my
Florida Gators.
Have you ever been to Columbus? No, Trev, I have not. I want to go there. It's a bucket list in my life that I would love to go to the big
Trev's
one.
actually going farther away from Columbus, so don't
I'm
worry
going
about it.
far away.
He's never
ladies
going to
and
see him,
gentlemen.
so don't worry about it.
No, hell
I'm
no. I'll
going.
go wherever I want. I'll go anywhere. I'm going to the national championship, baby. It's in Miami. Who's coming with me? Want to see a real team play, baby? Not Coastal Carolina or
Oh,
Cincinnati.
one last thing. I'll just say this.
There we go.
No, real quick, just my one last thought. And I say this again based off of Justin Herbert. Last thing I promise. I think Mac Jones is going to stay at Alabama, play his senior year, and be the #1 overall pick next year.
That wouldn't be a bad move.
It's not the worst thing, actually.
I think I honestly do. Just
I'd like to
been
see him without Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle too, and Najee
Oh,
Harris.
I think it would do him good to stick around and do it, get more experience, and again, show people what he can do without all. And not look again, not that the depth at Alabama still won't have stars all over the place, but
the last four receivers from Alabama are going to all be first-round picks in the Ruggs, Judy, Waddle, and the kid Devontae Smith, who's going to be the Heisman Trophy winner tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, so don't forget. I know, Joe. I know. All in all,
enough with you all in all. Just say the show is ended. Thank
Well,
you very much for tuning in to Keys to the City. We'll see you later this week. Have a nice day.
no,
Goodbye.
No, that's not how we do it. Thank you.
That's actually pretty good.
No, it wasn't.
that wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. Good job. He finally did it. It took him 3 years.
All in all, guys, I just want to say thank you.
All in all, I love you guys. We love you guys. I hope everybody had a wonderful New Year's. So, Joe, we'll see you at the end of the week.
One more thing.
We'll see you at the
No, I got nothing else except for Gary Sanchez's.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be at the end of the week. Can't wait. Football weekend, wild card weekend, national championship Monday. We'll have it all later in the week. We are streaming on all social media platforms at Clovercrest Media, Keys to the City, Twitch,
So follow, subscribe, share, like. See what you did? You made me go one. You made me lose. I went
could've done this.
I went two. I lost my mind. Clovercrest Media presents Key to the City. We are out.
Yeah. Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we unlocking the statements.